developers. This time I'm going to talk with Joost about the amazing game Toem. And as he's an audio designer and this game has a lovely audio, we have a lot to talk about. But first, if you all remember, last interview I told you guys that you could win maybe a Steam key from Time on Frog Island. And some people wanted to win this game, so I wrote them down. And I'm going to have their names in my magic hat. Maybe you won the Steam key. So okay, I'm going to rumble all those names. And then we are going to see who won this free Steam key for Time on Frog Island. Okay, so this is the winner. And yes, it's Mirror Michael with the answer, the green one, which is lovely. I mean, I asked in a video what is your favorite frog, and wow, this answer really made me laugh. Just send me an email and I will email you the Steam key for Time on Frog Island. If you want to know my favorite frog, of course it's the one from Chrono Trigger. I love that character. And now it's going to be time to have a new one in the studio. Now is the time to introduce Joost and let him tell anything about his experiences of making the audio for Toem. Welcome to the studio. Could you shortly introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Joost. Like you said, I'm a musician / composer / video game composer / guy from the Netherlands, and I made roughly half of the soundtrack for Toem. The other half was done by my co-composer Jamal Green.
Because you're a composer yourself, but you're also a game designer, right? Or only a composer for this game?
I wouldn't call myself a game designer, certainly not on this game. We did have a very open sort of process. It's a small team, depending how you count. There's like 6 of us on the core team, and we had meetings every week where we would exchange ideas, and so some of my game ideas made it into the game, but like I definitely wouldn't call myself like a game designer or anything.
How was it to make the audio for this game?
Incredible. It was a really great experience. Like I said, we had a really sort of open process where we all trusted each other and just made sure it was like a really fun environment to work on this game. You can feel that, I think, when you play the game, or at least when I play the game. It sort of reminds me of the sessions that we had making it. I kind of feel like you can feel the fun in the game that we had making it, sort of. And that goes for the music as well. We just had a really open atmosphere where we all felt really comfortable and safe to try weird and funny things and new stuff, and a lot of that made it into the game. Somebody had the idea of putting some goats in the game, and then how about that they're yodeling goats or something? And then I was like, yodeling goats, that's awesome. And then immediately after that meeting, I started recording myself yodeling, and we were just having fun. Yeah, like the atmosphere in the team was just so great and trusting and open that, it fosters an environment where you dare to do stuff like this. And it made it into the game, and it's really a funny moment. So
yes, it does. So is this the first game that you guys are working together then?
Yeah, it's the first game that we worked together on as a team. It's not the first game I've worked on, and I don't think it certainly isn't the first game that Jamal has worked on. I know he's kind of a veteran video game composer. I think that the core team in Sweden, the guys from Sweden, like the game company that made this, called Something We Made. It's essentially Nicholas and Lucas from Sweden, from Karlshamn. More people now, I suppose. Tom was an intern during development, but he's now part of the team as well. But those guys, I think not too long ago, they were still students at their university. And I think they've done like some small projects here and there, maybe some free games, but this is definitely their first big commercial title.
Yeah, and are you now like continue working on different games with them, or are you like, because as an audio designer, I always feel that you're freelancing a lot, or like how is the life as an audio designer?
It's a hard life. Yeah, we're still definitely working with them. We're working on different stuff with them. Like I said, it was just such a dream for all of us to work together that we really don't want it to end, and we want to keep doing as much as we can together. Yeah, we're exploring a bunch of different things right now. We're working on some Toem stuff maybe for the future. We're looking at what we can do with that. Yeah, we're definitely going to keep working together for sure.
And for the future, is that kind of DLC, or is it like there's going to be another episode?
That's not so determined yet, I think, that I can really say much about that, for fear of, like, if I say the wrong thing, then people will expect the wrong thing. So
Yeah,
I don't
okay,
want
fair enough.
to miss out on anything. But we're definitely looking at if there's anything we can do more for Toem, for sure.
And do you know like how the game came to realization, or were you like coming to the team quite late?
Well, I got in touch with the boys a long time ago. I think it must have been 2019 or something like that, back before Toem took the shape that it did now. If I recall correctly, the guys told this story somewhere else, where I think the game went through 3 reboots. So basically they scrapped the game 3 times and restarted it. And the last time that it became the game it is today, the first time that I laid eyes on the project, I mean, it looked roughly the same, but it was also totally a different game. It had a totally different atmosphere. Nevertheless, I was immediately in love, and I sent them a message then, and I got in touch with them a little bit just about how I thought the game was really cool and it looked really great. I think somehow they found my SoundCloud account and started listening to my tunes then, but I don't think at that point they didn't really know where they were going to go with the game or what they wanted to do with it. Mm-hmm. So they were still really experimenting, and I had some contact with them every once in a while, but there wasn't really a lot of talk about working together yet. After I hadn't heard from them for a while, I think I saw the game resurface again later at some point, and I was like, oh my God, it looks even better now. And I said that again. We had a little bit more contact, and it wasn't until quite a bit later that they came up with the photography element.
Oh, that was quite late then, because
it's quite late. Yeah,
because it's the core mechanic, basically.
Yeah,
I mean, personally.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it was at that point that the game really came together. So that's like one of the things that they kept saying too, is that the game kind of didn't really feel like it was coming together, and they didn't really know where they wanted to go with it. And then when the photography thing came into the game, just everything just coalesced and became clear what they wanted to do with it. And from that point on, things went a little quicker. I think that was somewhere around early 2020, if I recall correctly. And it was at that point somewhere, I think, where the guys got in touch with me, and they asked if I could write them one song. They didn't have any funding at that point, but they were already very cool about that. They were like, well, we really want to pay you for, if you ever work for us, if you do anything for us, we want to pay you for it. And I was like, well, if you don't have any funding, if it comes from your own pocket, I really love what you guys do and I believe in it. So I just wanted to, work with them.
Okay.
But they were like, no, we have to pay you for everything you do. So they paid me for one track, but I was just so excited to work on this that I banged out a couple of different ideas. Then I just sent them the one that I thought might work best, but it just, I couldn't let go. So so I had this other idea that I was working on that I thought, this is going to work very well too. And I completed that, and I was just like, I know they said I shouldn't, but I
you were super bold.
I was just like, I was just like, you know what, this is a present from me to you guys. Just take this extra song. And they were super cool about it. And I think that was early 2020. And at that point they said, well, we were gonna see what we're gonna do about music. They put the hike lady in the game, which is the play on words for a Walkman. Mm-hmm. So they thought they would maybe make some sort of mixtape, maybe ask them some other friends to compose stuff for it. And they hadn't really thought that out. So they just thought, let's start with 1 or 2 songs and then we have something in the game. So I contributed that and didn't hear from them for a while. And it was, I think, a couple of months later in the summer that they came back to me and said they'd secured funding from Humble. Then they officially asked me to be a part of the team. So yeah, that was somewhere in the summer, I think the summer of 2020. And the game came out in 2021 in September. That was kind of like a full year of full-on development.
Nice. And as an audio designer, is it like you only make audio, or like are you also implement the audio in the game, or like how do we need to see that?
Yeah, so the actual like the audio designers on the game are 2 guys called Roomsklang, also from Sweden. So they did all the sound effects. I myself and Jamal didn't really go into the audio engine. That was mostly the guys from Roomsklang and the guys from Something We Made. For us, it was really just mostly just composing. We did do some jingle stuff here and there. We wrote some stuff for like radio tunes. There's some radios in the game. From our side, it was just kind of helping with the implementation by making sure that that formats were correct, and like if there's music that's sort of interactive, then making sure that we export it in such a way that it loops right, or that there's different moving parts that work right, and think about how we can implement stuff. But there wasn't that much of that, so most of the audio implementation was done by those guys.
Yeah, you say that you got a lot of inspiration out of the game, that you really just felt, oh, this is the music what fits with it, right? So you were just like seeing the concept and you just had like, this is going to be the music?
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure. The first time I saw the game, I immediately knew like, this is just something I want to work on. This is something that really fits sort of my sensibilities as a composer. And I immediately started hearing things in my head, and it's like, I know sort of the kind of sounds that this game needs. But then it changed quite a bit when they did officially ask me. Because of the whole photography mechanic, it inspired kind of other gameplay elements, and it inspired the way that the environments were going to look, and the characters that came in, and the types of quests that you would get. It certainly influenced the tone. They put all the trust in us. They were just like, we hired you guys because we think you're awesome, and you just make something that you guys think is cool, and we're going to love it. So we did, Jamal and I did, because there was also 2 composers on the game, it became a bit more of a challenge, because not only had to find kind of the right tone, but we also had to get on each other's level and make sure that what we made would be one soundtrack and not
different things.
Yeah, not too different, or at least it would fit together. We did try and talk about it a lot, and we tried to be inspired by each other a lot. Sometimes, you know, they kind of felt like a challenge, but at the same time, we worked so well together that every time one of us made something, the other was immediately like, oh, that's so cool, and like inspired by that, and like fed off each other really well. So we did do a lot of thinking beforehand and talking about it beforehand, about what do we think it should sound like. But I feel like when I think back about how it actually went, when we actually started really composing and started really getting into, kind of feels almost like it went automatically, just because of the input that we get off of each other and off of the game and off of the different levels that we were getting. And it was all just pretty easy to compose for, really.
Okay, oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, because like quite a lot of people don't really know what exactly is game audio, right? It's always like, yeah, a game has audio, and then it's like, yeah, someone does it, but like, how do you start with that process, right?
Yeah, and it can certainly be a challenge, because I think this is something maybe we can all relate to when whatever kind of creative work we do. You know, at some point you're looking at a blank page, right? Mm-hmm. You're looking at a game that has no music in it, and it's up to you to decide what it should sound like. And that can be a challenge. But once you get started, I mean, Toem has so much charm in it, in my opinion, that once you get started, you start to feed off of that really easily, and the ideas just start coming.
Are you only working on Toem now, or is it like you do other projects on the side as well? I
mean, yeah, I do other boring stuff sometimes. I do some commercial composing work for like explanation stuff, so like non-game things. More interestingly, though, I do also just make my own solo music. So I just make albums and I put those out. The last album I put out was in 2018, and I'm planning to put out a new one really soon. I've been saying really soon for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it must be perfect before you launch it.
Yeah,
right?
There's a bit of that. Like, it has to be perfect, and that's really the enemy. That kind of perfectionism. Like, perfect really is the enemy of done. So
yeah, and especially with audio design, it seems so hard, because when is audio done? Because you can keep on tweaking. It's like, maybe because I don't have the sound of audio, but I feel like, oh, you can always add some more, or like polish it.
You can always keep going. A song is never done. Even when you put it out, even when you release it, when you finish it and you put it out into the world, even then it keeps living on and evolving, especially if you play it live as well, which is something that we also do. I have a band to play the songs that I make as launchable socks. I have a small band with my brother who plays percussion on like one of those percussion pads, and another friend to play guitar and bass, and actually we all play kind of like different instruments throughout the set. But that kind of creates a whole other dimension to it as well, because not only am I composing songs here in my studio, we're also bringing it to our rehearsal space, and it comes to life there, and it takes on its own life a little bit there, and then we take it to the stage and share it with audiences, and it totally creates different dimensions. And this goes for the Toem tracks as well. We I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, we were part of the Save and Sound Festival. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's this video game, sort of an online video game music festival on Steam and Twitch. And we did a 3-song Toem live set on that, which is really cool. So yeah, those are songs that have been out since September last year. But then playing them live and having rehearsed them live for a while with a band, at least for me as the one that wrote those songs, I still notice how you keep evolving them and you keep tinkering with them even after they're supposedly done. Absolutely right. You can keep going forever and forever and forever and forever. But especially when you try to release stuff, I think it's important to just say at some point, it may not feel like you're done, but just you have to put it out.
Put it out, get off of it, yes. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because that was always my wondering, like, wait, when do you know, like, it's done with audio? Because I don't know. But you also don't know, so I guess no one really knows.
It's never done.
Okay. So how long do you normally take for, like, for example, like a track for one of the worlds?
Oh, that varies so much. There's one track that still isn't really my own favorite in the game from the city region. It's called On the Hour. That's one that I really like worked on, tinkered with it, and then I tweaked it again, and then I threw away a whole section, restarted it, and then I threw away a whole bass line and restarted that, and it kept going and it kept going and it kept going. Away at the end, the week of the deadline, of the final deadline, where everything had to be content lock, I said to the guys, I think I'm going to scrap this song. I don't really know. And they were like, no, put it in. We really love it. And I was like, okay, fine. So that was one of those songs that just kind of kept going and kept going and kept going. But then on the other hand, one of the favorites from the soundtrack, which is called Fisherman's Tune, part of I think a really cool quest in the game, which I won't spoil, but it involves you kind of playing the tune in the game a little bit. And that's one of my favorites. I remember we were talking about doing sort of a quest like that. One day I was in my living room with my girlfriend. We were hanging up some lights in the living room. I was thinking about the quest that we were talking about and maybe doing a song for it. Then just suddenly I heard something in my head. I heard this melody and I was like, I got to do it now. And so I dropped the lights and I ran to my computer. And I recorded that, and like 2 hours later, the whole track was there. So you never know. Sometimes, you keep tinkering and tinkering and tinkering, and it's never done and it's better. And then sometimes things just kind of click together within a couple of hours.
Yeah, so that's how creativity works, right? It keeps on working in your back mind, and then you suddenly have the results, and then it's like that eureka moment of like, I did it!
Yeah. Apparently you've been working on it in your head all this time.
Yeah.
You realized it, and then suddenly it crystallizes. And then when you sit down, when you're there for it, when you're at your workstation, your computer, or whatever, you might be lucky enough to catch that or something.
Yeah, this is the first time I really talked so long with audio design. Like, if some of my viewers want to become a game audio designer, like, do you have some tips for them?
I'd say, start doing it. And that may sound a little like, what do you mean? But there's always ways to begin, I think. You might not be able to, because it's hard, right? It's hard to get into the industry and all that stuff. Like, I won the lottery being a part of this team, I'm just so lucky, and you have to be lucky. But I think you also have to be active. Like, you have to create opportunities for yourself to allow yourself to be lucky,
be out there, basically.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways to do that. You can just start making, if you want to be like you said, an audio designer, as in making sound effects, make some sound effects, make some random sound effects that you think might be cool to make. It doesn't have to be for a specific project. If you want to be a game composer, compose some tracks for it. Again, it doesn't have to be for an existing project. Just make stuff and put it out there. Put it on SoundCloud, put it on Bandcamp, put it on YouTube, whatever. And then there's a tip that I see other people say too, and I think that's a really good one, is find game jams. There's so many game jams out there, and they're a really good way to starting on a project with other people, which is, I think, probably one of the best ways to get into doing it, I think. But the most important thing I would say is start. Don't wait. Don't wait for permission or whatever. If you want to do something, the best way to do it is to do it.
Fair enough. Like some people, of course, like, well, we also need to pay our rent. So that kind of, and this kind of now sounds like, oh, first just put out everything and just hope that you created a path that someone is calling me, right? But it feels a bit like gambling.
I would say don't count on being lucky, and like it sucks because you're right. There's no guarantees for anyone, right? You might never score a cool project or be able to pay your rent by making music or sound or whatever, or making games in any way, and that sucks. I wish none of us would have to worry about that. I wish we all would get free money every month. But yeah, that's not the case. But what I would say is that if you want to make game audio, if you want to make game music or game sound effects or whatever you want to do, the best, the most universal advice that I could give is to do it and not wait for permission. It's highly unlikely that if you've never done it before, that somebody's just going to hire you and take away your financial worries. Whatever possibilities that you have, if you have to work a job or if you have a job, if you really still want to do music or audio, then see if you can, on the weekends or on your free time, if you still want to work on music, then do it then. Unfortunately, I would say don't count on stuff leading anywhere, but can never hurt if you are then working on your own things. If you are making tracks for yourself, put them out there, put them online, and try and hang out at places that other people like you are hanging out, people who also want to make games and work on games. Try and connect with people like that. Try and make friends, and hopefully it will lead somewhere.
I hear networking, basically.
I suppose networking. I think when you say networking, a lot of people kind of...
Yeah, a lot of people have a misconception about networking, but I think networking is finding people with the same interest and catch with them. But that's the misconception a lot of people have, like, oh, if I give me your business card, we suddenly network. Like, no, that's not networking. No. Yeah,
you're kind of just looking for friends, right? When I was like 14 or something like that, one of my biggest dreams was to be in a band. So I just started naturally looking around. Like, I was a guitar player, and I was just like, who can I make music with, right? Who plays bass? Who plays the drums? Who can sing? Because I just wanted to play a band, and I just wanted to, so I was looking for people to connect with, like, oh, what kind of music do you like? And do you play any instruments? And then when you find somebody, at one point I met somebody who was like into the same bands that I was into, and who was a really great drummer. And at that point, like, the clicks happens automatically, and you become friends immediately because you're like bonding over, I love
mutual.
This band. And I think the same is true for games. Like you said, when you're thinking about networking, I wouldn't say think about going to GDC with your business card and plan in business meetings with business people in hopes of, getting into the industry or something. I would say try looking for peers, people who are like you and who are like, oh, I love that kind of game, or I love that game, and I'm really good at programming. Oh, I'm really good at music. Oh my God, like, let's be friends. Like, it's more like that. It's more like try and share your enthusiasm as much as you can. I think that's what I would say. And again, there's no guarantees for anyone, but the thing about that is that the parts of it that you can control is not whether or not you get lucky, but it's more whether or not you're working on stuff that makes you enthusiastic and makes you happy just to work on it. As long as you're happy with the work that you're doing, that's kind of its own success. I don't know if that sounds kind of lame, but you can never expect any project to go anywhere. You can't expect a game to become successful because that depends on the reaction of others. You can influence the way that you feel when you're working on it. So if you're enthusiastic about something, that's other people are going to connect to that, are going to feel that. And I think that's the main thing. Try and find what that is for you, and try and do it in whatever way you can. Try and find people that feel the same way. If you're lucky enough to find those people, that's great. But it helps for sure if you, for yourself, figure out what that is, what the kind of work is that makes you happy and that makes you enthusiastic about where you're going and about the medium, and try and do that, whether that's making really laid back atmospheric songs or whether it's making really cool artwork. Just start. Don't ask for permission. Just start to do the things that make you happy, and then try and put yourself out there.
How did you start in the industry, though?
Kind of in that way, really. I started playing in bands when I was like 15 or something like that. Not too long after that, I discovered Fruity Loops and stuff like that, and Reason. So I discovered making music on my computer, which at first kind of started as a joke a little bit between friends, where we would just like send each other these really, really crazy tunes and pretend that we were these like avant-garde artists that were just totally but eventually that kind of like grew into sort of a parallel arm of what I was doing in bands. I was like writing music and performing with my band, and then some of the other ideas that I had that didn't really fit with the thing that we were doing, because it was kind of like an experimental sort of hardcore hard rock band, almost bordering on metal sometimes. But I was also really into more laid back melodic stuff and like kind of chill electronic stuff. Crazy as it sounds, those two did have overlap sometimes, so I would work on some ideas in guitar or something, sometimes just a little bit too melodic for my band, and so I would just kind of like make something electronic out of it, and eventually that kind of spun out and became its own project, what is now Launchable Socks, my artist name. I just started making those tracks just for myself, and then eventually I was like, I think I have 12, 15 tracks or something like that. So I thought, let's make an album. I just put them together and I just drew a little cover for it, and it just kind of felt like make-believe at that point for myself. Like, I made an album, That's how it goes, I think. You do it for yourself. You feel like an imposter at first, but you really aren't. At that point, you're already, a musician making music, making albums. That's that kind of, even if you feel that way, after a while, like, okay, I think I have this sort of making music, like producing stuff on my computer. I think I have it sort of down. I kind of felt like I could make a tune a little bit now. It started to fester in me, like, video games have always been part of my life, and I've played video games since I was, I don't know, like, I remember playing Mario Brothers with my brother in the living room when I was, I don't know, 6 or 7. So they've always been a part of my life. And now that I was making tunes on my computer, it started to dawn on me, like, that would be incredible, trying to make something for a video game. At that point, I really started to look around for that. Like, how could I do that? This was back in 2010-ish, I think, back when TIG Source was still a thing, the independent game source. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it was this website that had a news website for indie games, but they had a forum where people hung out, and it was mostly game developers, and they just hung out there, talked about all kinds of stuff, but there was also sub boards for people looking for others to work with. And I just started posting on there, and a lot of stuff that didn't pan out, projects that never happened. But then I connected with this one Finnish guy who was working on his graduation project for his game design school in Finland, and he was looking for a composer to make laid back tracks, and I was like, that's me. And we connected, and I wrote a soundtrack for that. It was just a small game. It was called Cuba. Had like 5 levels. It was a puzzle game where you kind of like use Minecraft mechanics, where you pick up a block and you place it somewhere else.
Don't I know Quebec, or is it like not the original Quebec?
We made 2, and we had the bad luck of releasing almost the same at the exact same time as another game called QUBE, a little bit of a bigger game. So we kind of got sort of snowed under. The first game we put out for free on, I don't even think itch was really a thing back then. It was Desura, it was called, which was kind of like an itch type.
Yeah, I mean, all those things, like basically forums are basically now Discord servers. It's like kind of just, it's floating from different channels, right? But it's kind of similar way how we react to each other.
Yeah. So we put it online for free, and it got downloaded a couple thousand times. And Ado, the guy who made it, his university was like, hey, that's really cool. So they gave him an office space and a couple computers to make a sequel, essentially. At that point, I was studying philosophy, and I had to do an internship, and I didn't know what a philosophical internship would be. So I asked my university, can I go to Finland and make video game music and call that my philosophical internship? And they said, yeah, why not? So I did. I moved to Finland and lived there for about a year, and made Cuba -1, which was like the prequel to Cuba. Yeah, that's kind of like the first real thing I did.
And I just wonder, like, why are you called Launchable Socks? Are you like passionate person of your socks or what?
I mean, who doesn't like a nice sock, right? But and I do actually. I get a lot of emails from like sock manufacturers from China and stuff. Connect what do you call them? Connect requests on LinkedIn and stuff. People like, ooh, we could make socks at a really low price point. I'm like, I'm good on socks. I don't need your socks.
Okay.
No, it was really real story. Kind of just more back in those days that I told you about when making music was kind of like a joke. It wasn't just crazy tunes, but it was also we gave them crazy names, and Launchable Socks was one of them. It was just so back then I composed under my own name. Well, my nickname Vos. I wanted to get rid of that. I didn't want to make music under my personal name because I wanted the project to be open. I didn't want it to be me, but I wanted it to be something outside of me so that other people could come in and put their spin on the project. So I wanted to leave that possibility open. So I wanted a different name than my own. I just made that song like a year before I made that decision or something. And that was really that was one of those really dumb joke songs. It wasn't really a real song that I wanted to have anything to do with really like professionally or whatever. But I really loved the title. So I just took it. It's kind of a boring story. I feel like I should come up with a more magical sort of...
Yeah, I think the first part of I wanted to have free socks, for example, from Chinese companies would fit more.
I wanted to get free socks from sock manufacturers.
Exactly.
This is my official story now.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think it's really interesting how you inspire everyone to try out. If they just want it, just go for it. I mean, nothing is for sure, but if you don't know, you also like. If you don't do it, you have a no. If you do it, maybe you get a yes. So that's what I think is coming out. Would you have some last advice? Otherwise, I want to thank you for this interview.
Last advice, be cool to each other. Be nice to each other. Take care of each other. Look after each other. When you think of a band name, put an item of clothing in there. So you get free socks or pants or shirts.
Nice. This is almost a commercial. Okay, so if you have any other questions for Joost, please leave them in the comments. This was an interview, mostly we focus on audio, but I would suggest also to try out the game because it's lovely and not only because of the audio. Thank you very much everyone for watching. Bye bye.
Bye.